This is Rudowski of WeAreChange.org here at the Great Hall of Cooper Union in New York City. I am joined by Clive Hamilton, who is a professor with expertise in geoengineering. Now, big oil companies, Bill Gates, the CIA, and the Jason Group have in common.
Well, all of those groups are involved in thinking about and researching geoengineering one way or another. So Bill Gates, for example, is investing in a number of geoengineering companies and projects. He's backing scientists doing that kind of work. The security state is taking a close interest in it. They're carrying out inquiries. They're worried about it. They're interested in it. And then you have a whole bunch of right-wing think tanks as well in the Beltway who, although they've spent years denying climate science, are now saying, hey, geoengineering might be the way to go.
There are it's a large group, but it seems like the groups have one common denominator, is that usually they don't always have the public interest, in their perspective, in their kind of lock. Why are they working on geoengineering?
Well, I think their reasons are very mixed. The whole thing is driven by some scientists, some very eminent and capable scientists. What should we do? Can we have some other way of tackling climate change if we get into this kind of emergency? And so they began talking about, for example, a sulfate aerosol shield that would reflect some sunlight back into the atmosphere and cool the planet. It sounds like crazy science fiction, but in fact it's a very serious proposal getting a lot of work. And when the scientists started to do this, a lot of players started to be attracted to them. Bill Gates, for example, he's a kind of techno-fix man. He says, well, what we need is some magic technology to get us out of this difficulty. Some of the people in the Pentagon and associated organisations are taking interest because other countries might be doing it. China, for example, they want to be ahead of the game. The right-wing think tanks, this is a really interesting one. They deny climate science, but they're interested in geoengineering, and it reveals something very important about climate science denial, and that is that it's not about the science. Attacking the science is really, for them, collateral damage to defend their ideology, and their ideology is the kind of thinking that likes geoengineering if it means controlling nature, if it means defending the economic and political system, if it means protecting the oil companies from a devaluation of their assets. So you can see politically why conservative think tanks and in private some Republican politicians are talking about geoengineering as an answer to climate change.
Do you think this sulfate aero kind of spraying is possible? Do you think it's going to happen anytime soon?
Well, it's certainly possible. I mean, there's no doubt it will work. I mean, and the scientists are confident it will work because of volcanic eruptions. It can definitely work. Of course, there'll be a huge amount of unintended consequences. You might cool the planet, but all sorts of other things like making the hole in the ozone layer bigger, like stopping the Indian monsoon, which is necessary for 1 billion people to eat. These are the kind of consequences that may also happen. So yes, it can definitely cool the planet, but it's an enormously risky thing, and if we ever get to that point of actually doing it, then we really are in deep, deep shit. And the question is whether doing that will get us in deeper shit. So the consequence could be monumental.
So is it safe to say in the possibly near future, mega corporations, oil companies will be doing geoengineering? Is it possible?
I don't think we'll ever get to the point where mega corporations are engaged in geoengineering. It's only a government, a state, that would do that. There is a bit of concern about rogue billionaires just going out and doing it. But it's also true that fossil fuel corporations have taken an interest in geoengineering, and quietly behind the scenes they're dipping their toes in the water and funding this project and that. But the big mega geoengineering projects like sulfate aerosol spraying, I can't ever see a fossil fuel corporation doing that. That's something that governments and militaries will get involved in if it should come to that. And I should say, I actually think it's likely that will happen.